necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tell Us Our Biz. It's wonderful to be here tonight with you. And I would like to explain to you how I came about Carmen Care Laser. A few of you know already my story. You've heard about how Lee was sick with trigeminal neuralgia, and she got better through laser therapy. And that's how we opened our clinic. So if you want to hear more about that, you can always visit our website at carmencarelaser.com and see her story. But I'm here today to talk to you about how I've developed something called the T3 paradigm. So the T3 paradigm stands for treating three T's. The first T is treating the trauma to the cells. The second T is treating the toxins to the cells. And the third T is treating the thoughts to the cells. So when you put that all together, you're really treating the mind, body, and the soul. So I want to explain that a little bit more. When we treat people with acute pain, that's really just treating the trauma in the cells. So somebody maybe has come to us with a knee pain. They were maybe playing some football and they got hurt. And so they have an acute pain, and we can treat them with laser therapy very, very easily. A couple of treatments and you're good. They're ready to go back out there and play. So then we're starting to treat people with more chronic illness. Now, chronic is something that's longer than 6 weeks, usually 6 weeks to a couple of months. Some people have chronic pain for several years. Well, when we started to treat that, we saw that we needed to give laser therapy much more extensive and much longer, so 45 minutes and 20 treatments. And it took us quite a while to develop those protocols, because regularly you're going to see on the internet, or people will tell you you need to treat maybe 3 or 5 times and you're good. But with chronic pain, you really need to give a lot of energy into those cells. So that's how we treat chronic pain. Now, there's severe pain, where you have this pain that is so deep and so just very annoying, and you can't even get out of bed. You have to sometimes stop giving up your job, giving up work, because you just can't deal with the pain on a day-to-day basis. So we look at that as very severe, life-changing pain. And those instances, we actually developed a protocol that is a 21-day series where you come into our clinic and we treat you 2 times a day, because your body is so down, is so depleted from energy and from just what our body needs, that you need so much energy to get yourself going again. So those are those 21-day protocols where you come in, even Saturday and Sunday, so 21 full days. So that's what we started with, and just doing laser therapy. But we had maybe about, I would say, 70 to 80% success rate treating this way. And I said, well, what's with the other people? Why aren't the other people getting better? What makes them different? And we started realizing that there are so many toxins that influence our body. And when I talk about toxins, I mean environmental toxins. And there are so many around, so I just want to name a few. Let's say sulfur. Sulfur dioxide is in so many products that we have. So we buy these things off the shelf, and they need sulfur dioxide so that the goods don't get bad. So with the sulfur dioxide, we're actually having it in so many products. So there's a limit to how much we can have, and it's regulated. But if you have it, let's say, in the fruit you're eating, and then you're having it in the cereal, and now you're also having it in your shampoo and in your soap, there's going to be a point where there's just too much in your body. Now, when you have too many of these toxins in your body, what happens is there's an imbalance, because now these toxins take over and you're not able to get as much oxygen in your cells and so forth. So a lot of different things happen with these toxins. There are toxins in the air, chemical trails. There are toxins in the water. where I don't know if you've noticed, but the water, if you do some research on it, our drinking water has so many traces of medicine in them, of opioids, and so many traces of mercury. And just imagine, people are taking so many pain pills. What's happening? It's going out through the urine, going into our drinking water, and it's being filtered, but not quite to that extent. So we're re-ingesting that. So when a baby's born these days and you do some sample testing, they already have so many toxins within their little bodies, and they haven't even been subjected to this world yet. So toxins play a very, very big importance. Same thing with when you have deodorant. You have aluminum in the deodorant. So why do so many men have breast cancer? Did you ever think of that? That's because of the aluminum, because it clogs your lymphatic system. So there are many toxins that play a role in our healing. So when we have all these toxins, our body is just not functioning properly. And when our body doesn't function properly, we don't heal. So it's very important to know your body and to know that you need, like a garden. I always like to call it a garden, and you have these weeds in them. And if you want to plant something new, you've got to get the weeds out. So that's what we're doing. We're detoxing the body. So when I started to understand that that's actually a huge, huge part of your healing, is cleaning your body, getting rid of those toxins. Now, how do we do that? There are many wonderful places that you can get chelation, and you can do salt baths, and you can go to places and, they'll detox you with all sorts of wonderful herbs. So I just wanted to find something that was a little bit easier for our clinic, because we do laser. So I was starting to look around and did some research and found that there was actually a way to detox you with laser therapy. So that seemed quite interesting, and I went to some conferences and learned this. So what we do is, through a process called muscle testing, we're going to put a toxin on your body, and we muscle test your arm. Now, let's take this sulfur. I put this on your body, and if this sulfur is disturbing your regular field, your energy field that you have in your body, your arm is going to go weak. It's going to indicate you have too much sulfur, because I'm already putting this sulfur on your body that already has so much. So it's going to give a reaction. So that's how I determine if you have sulfur or mercury. And again, we really don't diagnose. That's not what we do, but we're just looking at your body, and it's giving us feedback. So it's like a biofeedback in a sense. And then we take the sulfur, we put it through a little laser. The laser carries this frequency of the sulfur. The sulfur frequency hits your body, and through the vibration of the light, it releases. And it seems very, very odd. When I sometimes do it myself, I wonder, how is this even possible? But I'm not going to ask about it too much, because we just see the difference. We just see the results in the patients. And we just see that this light is just nearly like a miracle. So easy, so fast, so quick. And we've had so many wonderful results. I had a patient once, and it was quite interesting. She came into our clinic, and she had sun poisoning. Her whole body was full of these rashes, and she had spent years, literally she told me years, cutting the socks off of her elastic. She thought that was causing it. She changed her Tide because she thought it was the powder causing that rash in her body. She changed shampoos, and she went through so many things. And when we saw her, I said, let me just muscle test you. I think it could be the sulfur, because I had a little bit of experience with that. We muscle tested it. It was her sulfur, and I started detoxing her. So she's sitting in this chair, and I have this light going up and down, and she's looking at me, and she's saying, "Are you crazy? Are you like pulling my leg?" And I said, no, this will work. I promise this will work. And she got all upset at me, and she said, I come from a very, very sophisticated background, and I have a family full of medical teams, and I just come, from a very sophisticated family, and this is just absolutely absurd what you're doing. She was really angry, getting a little bit angry. And I could understand that, and I told her, please, just trust the process. This isn't going to hurt you, so just go with the flow. She went with the flow. She got up a little annoyed and left. And 2 days later, she came back in for her follow-up, and I could see it in her face. I always see it in patients' faces. She opened the door, walked in, and I could see this smile. And I looked at her, and I said, "How are you doing with the sulfur?" And she said, "I'm doing great. I was able to play golf. The sun was hitting my skin, and I had zero rash." She came into the room, and she said, "You have made me a complete believer." So from that point on, I knew that this is so fascinating, because laser detoxing even helps if you don't believe in it. And that was a very important turning point for me, Because, we always say you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, it's not going to work. And I actually believed that too at that point. I always said, okay, if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. You have to be positive. Well, she proved me wrong. This laser detox is so powerful that you don't even have to believe in it, and it works. So I started getting more and more into this because I really think this is one of the most powerful therapies that you can do. And I started doing more research, and every time I did research, I would find this toxin and detox someone from something, and then they had a fabulous result. So I found dioxin, and you can look this up. Dioxin actually causes menstrual cramps and causes endometriosis. So we started finding girls that had menstrual cramps, started detoxing them from this dioxin, and their menstrual cramps stopped. The next cycle, they were just fine. They had just regular periods and no menstrual cramps whatsoever, no more headaches. So I knew I was really, really onto something with this detoxing. It's fast, it's easy, there are no side effects whatsoever. Sometimes you can have a temporary side effect where you maybe just get sick a little bit, or you have a headache or something, you feel like you have a flu or a cold, but it's usually just for 20 minutes. Sorry, not 20 minutes, it's usually just for like 20 hours, and the next day you feel fine. So when I started adding that detoxing, that's where that second T came in, treating the toxins to the body. And we just saw that the patient started to heal better. So sometimes the root cause of a migraine wasn't really just giving them laser therapy and healing their cells. It was really getting rid of mercury or getting rid of sulfur or getting rid of dioxin. So that was the root cause. And then laser would just help them heal even faster, and just so that it would stay there. Because sometimes when those toxins attack your body, you can actually have a little bit of damage. So your nerves could be a bit damaged, or your muscles could be damaged. So laser therapy then will increase the healing, and then they have a full recovery. So that was that second part. But then I still had a group of people that were not getting better. So we had given them laser, we had given them the detoxing, and yet they were still feeling pain. Sometimes people had absolutely no improvement, and I was just again wondering, why would these people have no improvement? What could it be? What makes them different? So I started doing more research, and I started getting involved in watching Dr. Bruce Lipton. So he kind of changed my whole life on the belief system, because I knew that it was important how you think and how you believe. But again, like that lady proved, that you don't always have to believe for something to happen. But Dr. Bruce Lipton, he has the thought of just that it is so important how you believe, and that it is really about just your thought, not even your inheritance. So he believes that it's not genetic, it's really your environment. And I started listening to him more and more, and realized that that's a very, very important part that we are neglecting, and we need to add that to our therapy sessions. Because when someone is suffering for so many years, certain things happen. Number one, they've seen so many doctors, and sometimes they just can't be helped with traditional medicine. And they're suffering for years and years and years. And what's happening is every time they go see a new doctor, they're telling themselves, okay, I can't be helped. And maybe they see another specialist, and that specialist says, I'm sorry, here's some medicine or surgery, but we don't know how to help you. So this gets instilled, this belief, more and more, that you can't be helped. Then unfortunately, there have been some patients that have told me they've sought help for years, and then they were told, well, it's actually in your head. It's just all in your head. We can't help you anymore. And I think that's probably the worst thing that anybody can ever hear. And when our patients say that, I can just see how their whole energy just completely collapses, and they just lose all hope and faith, hope in themselves, faith in the healing, because they have suffered for such a long time. They've been on so many medications, and now it's their fault. Because if you tell someone, well, it's all in your head, now you're giving your responsibility to them, and it all becomes their issue. And I really believe that is the worst thing that can ever be said to anybody. And in one instance, let's put it this way, there's a little bit of truth in that, but you just need to express it differently. So what probably is meant if one is saying it's all in your head is that our cells, and we're about 100 trillion cells. Our cells hold memory. They hold memory of thoughts, of things that happen, of accidents. They have an amazing way of holding this memory and connecting this memory to all our cells in our body. So I'd like to give this example. When you maybe wear glasses or a hat, has this ever happened to you that you've worn glasses all day and then you take them off and you somehow still feel you have your glasses on? I know that's happened to me. I sometimes feel I have a hat on still, or I have something on that I've had on all day, and you don't have it on anymore. But what happens is that your cells hold this memory. Your cells still think you have your glasses on, let's say, until you actually touch your nose and you're like, oh, I don't have my glasses on anymore. And then you're telling your cells, okay, you can let go of that memory because your glasses aren't on, and then they remember that memory of not having glasses on, and you're fine again. So when you've had years and years and years of pain, getting up every day with pain, your cells are carrying that memory. So when we do give laser therapy and there is a healing in there, and we do detox and there's a healing in that therapy as well, we need to address those cells that are carrying that memory, because if we don't, the healing can't be completed fully. Then we also have to address triggers, because the memory is also there because of a trigger. So let's say, and maybe you can identify with this, you've grown up as a child, and maybe you see your mom, and she's possibly sick in front of you, and then you see your dad, and he was always yelling at your mom. Every time she would get up and do something, she'd be in pain, and your dad would just be yelling, and possibly your dad maybe was abusive to your mom, and you are actually creating this memory. You're seeing it, you're feeling it for her, and you're creating this memory. And now you can possibly be in the same situation where you start getting pain, and you have a relationship where somebody's yelling at you, and believe it or not, that will trigger a memory in your cells, and you can start feeling the same pain. So it's really environmental. It's not necessarily genetic. It's really that you're seeing that, you learn that behavior. So what is important is to unlearn your pain. So there's a way of doing that with Psyche that we use. There are different companies that can help you with that, and we're looking at working with other companies that can help us support you in that way. There are neurolinguistic programming, so we work with Tatiana, who does that in our clinic as well. There are other ways that you can address that, but it's such an important factor because it just can't be overlooked. Because you have to do all three. You have to heal the mind, the body, the spirit, and the soul. And if you don't do that, there cannot be a complete healing. So it's very, very important. And I realized that only after years of seeing hundreds of patients and being able to compare them and seeing, and looking at them and saying, why does somebody heal and somebody doesn't? We had a gentleman, which is fascinating. He came in just a few weeks ago, and he was on a boot. His leg was absolutely killing him. For 2 years, he could not walk without pain. And he had this boot on, and he was on crutches. And he had just a great attitude, though. He came in. We had this talk together, and he just seemed very upbeat, very happy. It didn't seem like he had any problems whatsoever, but he had this pain in his leg. So we gave him laser therapy treatments, and we told him, this is going to work great for you because there's no other issue. There's maybe some scar tissue. Laser works great with that. After one treatment, he got up, and he forgot his cane. After one treatment, and for 2 years he was suffering. He didn't need his boot anymore. He didn't need his cane anymore. And he got about 8 other extra treatments, but he was fine. So this gentleman suffered for 2 years, and laser therapy helped him just very, very quickly. And he's doing absolutely amazing. So he came with a positive attitude. He had a super family that supported him. He really had no issues, and he healed unbelievably fast. So there are a lot of people that can heal very quickly without having to go through the toxins and having to go through the emotions. But there are these other groups that do need the emotional support. We also do a lot of weight loss at the clinic. And there is unfortunately also an emotion with weight loss. So sometimes we eat out of frustration, or we eat out of anger, or because we have a lot of emotional issues, or it's a way of running away. It's a way of just taking food. I know I have that issue too sometimes, and I'm trying to work on myself and find a plan. How can this be helped really through the laser, the detox, and through the emotional psyche? So we're working on that to put all that together as a whole, because I believe that if you just use the icon that we have, which is a machine that does the lymphatic and so forth, and you use the red light therapy we have to also reduce the fat. We've tried that, and it's fabulous and it's great, but the weight can keep coming back if there also you don't address the emotional. So why are you eating? Why are you overweight? Why are you running towards chocolate when there's an issue in your life? Or why do you binge eat? So those are things that are an emotional component that absolutely need to be addressed. So we're looking at the entire person this way. And at Carmen Care Laser, we strive to find the root cause, because if you don't find the root cause, you're not going to be able to do the full healing. So even with laser, when patients come to us, let's say with a big toe problem, it's some pain. So if you go to the podiatrist will look at the toe, and he might give laser to the toe, but it's not going to help, because possibly that toe is really an issue coming from your lower back, which is L4, L5. So if you look at it, you'd pull up a dermatome on YouTube. You can pull up pictures and type in dermatomes of the body, and you're going to see that if you look at the spine, there are these specific pathways that go down the spine along the side of the leg into the feet, and there are certain sections. So L4 will be a certain pain path down your leg, L5 and so forth. You're going to see all the different pain patterns. So the L4, L5 could be the big toe that hurts you. So if you give laser therapy to the toe, you can give it 50 times if you want. That's not going to help, because you're not treating the root cause. So again, at our clinic, we don't diagnose, but we follow the pain pattern. We just follow, where do you have pain? And we look at all the possibilities. Why do you have this pain? Where could it be coming from? So with the feet, knees, and backs, we just treat everything. We'll treat the lower back, and we add a little bit higher. So if your back is a little bit lower, we will add about 10 inches higher of pain, because if your L4, L5, let's say, are compromised, your other vertebrae are working harder to actually balance out the pain that you're suffering. So we know there's going to be some issues further up. So we treat about 10 inches further up from your painful area. We treat the entire lower back, the piriformis muscle. We have a really awesome massage ball that has laser in it as well. So we'll massage your piriformis muscle. We'll treat your leg all the way down, your knee, your legs, your shins and your toes. And then we really have fabulous results in relieving your pain. So the same thing is with your upper body. Sometimes people come with carpal tunnel, but the thing is, carpal tunnel isn't always just carpal tunnel. It could really be coming from your neck, from your cervical area. So you could have pain in your thumb, which is coming from a pinched nerve in your neck. So again, there we just look at everything. We treat absolutely everything. We treat your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your wrists, and all your fingers. And by doing that, we have fabulous results. So it's, again, just really treating your root cause. We just had a patient that came with trigeminal neuralgia, which, some of you know that's why I started the clinic, because my daughter had, the trigeminal neuralgia issue. And she came here, and she was here for our 21-day protocol. And she just texted me today. She left about a week ago. And she texted me that she's doing absolutely wonderful. She was able to get off all her medication, absolutely with the okay of her doctor. So when she came to us, she already came with her medication broken down into certain milligrams, so we could wean her off with his approval. And she started getting better and better and was able to wean herself off, and she was able to eat salad and nuts. Just think about this. We take this so for granted, but people with these diseases, they can't even eat a salad with nuts in it. I mean, we have to be so thankful when we're healthy. So she texted, and she's doing absolutely wonderful. So even the worst disease of all diseases, we're able to help with laser therapy. So I just wanted to give you all this information. Think about it. Give us a call. We always give free consultations. We're here for you if you have acute, chronic, or very severe pain. We're always happy to help you. And we wish you a really wonderful, wonderful holiday season and a happy and healthy new year. Thank you.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.